Alright everyone, welcome back to another video. Last time we left off with German civilians, see horror movies, talking about German civilians that are forced to watch re-education videos, talking about a lot of the horrors that went on during the war, and how some of those people reacted to those. But we're now on to Britain's secret defense is revealed. May 1945. A wall of flame was ready. After Germany was defeated, authorities released the amazing story of a secret anti-invasion defense whereby the channel would be turned into a searing wall of fire almost instantly. Oil was piped to outer and inner defense lines in the channel where it could be ignited into sheets of roaring flame to repulse invasion forces. This picture shows the inner defense system during a test. Pools of oil are spreading over the water and they are just beginning to burn. Within a few minutes, an impregnable barrier of fire and smoke would rise from the water. So this is one of those defensive things not really talked about as much. The United Kingdom had a lot of defensive measures in place in case of an enemy invasion, and it was a real possibility at one point. Actually, there was a small chance actually that the Germans would invade through Ireland. They would come through Ireland, and that use that as a hopping off point. The British were very worried about that during this time, and it was a real possibility. Didn't happen, but could have. Obviously, let's just be honest here. Stuff like this, not necessarily the best for the environment. You know, pumping lots and lots of oil into the ocean, not so good. But it would work, you know, walls of flame and smoke. You're not gonna want to go into this. It's gonna be a nightmare to get any troop transports through, or really any ships at all. And the smoke is gonna make obviously visibility very difficult. The Marines battle for Cemetery Ridge, May 1945. Graveyard Watch. The many ridges and hills on Okinawa presented hazardous obstacles to troops on Okinawa, and the advance was slow and bloody. In the above picture, Marines pause in their advance across Cemetery Ridge as Japanese bullets whistle overhead, temporarily pinning them down. The lower picture shows a 1st Division Marine lining his sights on a Jap in the battle for Wana Ridge, before the town of Shuri. The other leatherneck ducks warily for cover, as the month of May drew to a close. The battles for Naha and Shuri, key points in the defensive system of the Japanese in southern Okinawa, were drawing to a climax with the Marines entering Naha and Army troops cracking Shuri's defenses. Yeah, I think it's funny how this book goes back and forth, because you'll be like, oh yeah, this is something that they were planning on doing with Germany, or this is something that was going on in Germany at the time, that kind of stuff. And it's just like, oh yeah, but then across the water, yeah, they're still fighting tooth and nail. Places like Cemetery Hill and things like that, trying to take all these spots, and it's just like, yeah, don't forget the Pacific is still very much aflame with war. A Lying Home at Bad Weiss, May 27th, 1945. The Future German Style. In the top picture, 2 German mothers rest with their babies inside one of the German lying-in homes for both married and unwed. The woman at the left said, "My fiancé is in the army." The hospital below flaunts a flag with white, white with red center, which marks this and other similar centers, of which there are 15 in the Munich area. Yeah, you never, you have a lot of these like little civilian things. You can't really underestimate them. Like the civilians will do a lot to try to help themselves feel more protected, and things like that. And there's going to be a lot of women, especially in this area, who are who were wed, but maybe not so much anymore. And they're going to be needing a bit of help, let's to say the least. Marines and WACs took a dip. May 1945. Bomb crater bathtub. Leathernecks bathe and wash their clothes in a bomb crater near a wrecked Jap plane on Okinawa. In the picture below, the first WACs to arrive in Manila a few weeks earlier make good use of an undamaged swimming pool, which they discovered on the outskirts of the battered city in the Philippines. Yeah, you all gotta bathe every once in a while, so try to get out there and clean up when you can. You never know when you'll find another one like this. And I'm sure these women were probably like, "Woo, a swimming pool." I mean, I would be like, of course. Obviously, the severity of the situation is definitely not lost on them, I'm sure, but you need a little relaxation and a little bit of cleaning for the guys every once in a while. Destruction continues on Formosa. May 29th, 1945. Uh, Parafrags rip a railroad. In the peaceful scene above, parafrags, parachuted bombs, float gently down on the Chikwan at Railroad Yard at Formosa. A moment later, the bombs strike their target and explode. And parked trains and steel rails go up in a burst of destruction. Medium bombers of the 5th Air Force made this mess of Jap transportation under attack for many months. Yeah, they're going to obviously need to destroy a lot of this railway stuff. There's a lot of railway infrastructure and things like that. You're going to need to rip it up because if you don't, the enemy's going to be able to get supplies, troops, you name it, on the front a lot more quickly. And so they're going to be able to re-entrench themselves in such a way that you just can't shake them off. So one way to do that is to destroy a lot of these railway tracks, which in the long run will actually hurt a lot of these places. But it's one of those seen as you have to do it to get rid of the occupying force. Field hospitals for Navy ships. May 1945. Men ships far from home. One of the biggest factors in Navy operations conducted far from major land bases is the floating dry dock, or ASBD, Advanced Base Sectional Dock. The ASBD, built in separate sections, is moved as close to the combat zone as possible. There, the sections are welded into one huge dock with a capacity of 56,000 to 100,000 tons, more than enough to raise our largest battleship. A battleship finds abundant room in the 10-section dry dock in the picture at the top. Below, uh, however, the dock proves itself too wide for the Panama Canal and Seabees. Under the command of the Naval Civil Engineer Corps, tipped the mammoth dock on its side to pull it from one ocean to the other. Yeah, these dry docks, the British use some, and obviously we need them. We need them as well. But they are going to be obviously monumentally important in ensuring that you can keep fighting. Your ships can keep going and going and going, and you don't have to worry about, oh well, this ship's just stuck, and then we have to leg it all the way back. If it's major damage, you do have to kind of leg the whole thing back. But if it's damage that is somewhat not very good, uh, you can potentially just fix it up at one of these dry docks. And you really can't underestimate the importance of these things and how, honestly, kind of demoralizing they would be as an enemy. There's a lot of dry dock ideas that get tried in this war. Not all of them successful, but very interesting nonetheless. But that's going to do it for this video. If you guys liked the video, leave a like. If you have anyone who can approve these videos, please leave a comment down below. I always read your feedback. And as always, subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Thank you.